Yeah, it's not.
I also think it's hard for a fullback to go into midfield though, because the game's quicker.
Yeah.
You know, because you look at Philipp Lahm, I think he was one of the first ones to do it. He was brilliant at it, but it's so hard because you're in the middle there, and it's like.
Well, England tried it with Trent, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so hard. Yeah, no, it's a different ball game altogether.
Press,
We'll get back to Dennis in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And also, if you've got something to say, if you think I've missed something in any of my analysis, if you think the people in the clips or me are talking rubbish, please put it in the comments. I read all of the comments. And Denis Irwin is going to be talking about, in this video, the modern day fullback and some of the fullbacks that he thinks are the best in the business. And afterwards, I'm going to be talking about the role of the modern fullback and how it's kind of evolved over the years since I've been watching football. So please stick around after the clip and remember your thoughts in the comments. Here's Dennis.
Talk to us about modern fullbacks. We've talked a lot in the last few weeks about, say, whether it's Kyle Walker, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James. And I think when you look at, say, someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold, I mean, I've never seen anybody. You were probably one of the best. You were the best in terms of delivery. When you look at someone like Trent, what do you think when you watch him?
Well, I think he's a David Beckham-esque in his delivery, you got to say that. Because you're looking at the full picture as well. You know, as a full-back, you can see the whole picture, and his delivery is as good as I've seen anybody in the game. It really is.
Defensively?
Yeah, you question that, but that's the modern-day full-back, isn't it? You know, United kind of got at him in, last month, didn't they, in that kind of area. Yeah, I mean, you should learn as you're growing up and get better defensively, but just in terms of attacking. And he's a modern-day fullback, isn't he? He loves to go forward. And you have to, if you're playing for one of the top, well, anybody in the Premier League now, you've got to be very comfortable on the ball. Very comfortable ball, because even, I was watching Bournemouth and Chelsea. Bournemouth are a fine team, by the way. You know, they play good football, get it forward quite quickly, but they can all play football as well. And I wouldn't say that was necessarily the case in our day when you came up against the likes of Wimbledon, who made it really awkward for you. And they wouldn't,
it's not.
I also think it's hard for a fullback to go into midfield, though, because the game's quicker.
Yeah.
You know, because you look at Philipp Lahm, I think he was one of the first ones to do it. He was brilliant at it. But it's so hard because you're in the middle there, and it's like.
Well, England tried it with Trent, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so hard. Yeah, no, it's a different ball game altogether.
Press, yeah.
The modern fullback in terms of going into midfield, do you think that could have suited you? Do you think you've been able to adapt to that?
Easily.
I was quite happy out of the way. Stay out of the way. I was more comfortable with that. That would have been hard. I think that would have been hard to actually.
Yeah, but Dennis, at the time, we're thinking as a right-footed right back, playing left back for so many years. That's hard. That's hard. So for you to just shift into the middle...
Yeah, but you still had that space, the things in front. You could see the picture in front of you, whereas in midfield...
Would you think we would have said something if you came in, midfielders, the lads I was playing, if you start coming, you'd be going...
Clear off.
I was just get out of the way.
Scholesy
said that,
I know Scholesy mentioned that.
Scholesy liked his little space, didn't he? So, yeah, I probably wouldn't have liked to venture in there, to be fair.
I think as good as you were, you probably wouldn't have been as comfortable.
I wouldn't have been comfortable in there. And I think the reason why the manager used to say to us when we are attacking to push into midfield, because midfield was such a big area in Europe, they always had an extra man in there. Yeah. Whereas if you stayed back as a full-back, you were almost an extra, because they only had one. So I think that's when because 98, we went out to, was in Monaco, we went out to...
it was.
97 Dortmund, wasn't it? And just that midfield area, I think, where we used to play a stringent 4 kind of 1-1, but that midfield...
In 99 was the first time we sort of pushed in.
Yeah, that we pushed in.
Which modern-day full-back do you look at and think, I like him, he's the one that I rate the most? Start with the Premier League at this moment in time.
Yeah, well, Trent's unbelievable going forward. His football ability is second to none. Walker's been a fantastic athletic full-back, in a great City era. If Luke was... if he gets himself fit and gets himself a run of games, he could be as good as anybody. Robertson's really clever. He's been there a long, long time. He knows the game. He's a bit of a throwback as well, but he can still play good football. You know what I mean? The lad at Fulham gets talked about a lot. There's the left back as well, doesn't he?
Robinson.
Yeah. I think the beauty about the Premier League, there's still some physicality in there. You know what I mean? And I know, like, Arsenal and United was an FA Cup, but it was good to see.
Nice,
It was a bit of a throwback, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It
And I
felt
think
like
our
that.
game still needs a little bit like that. And I don't want to be an old fart saying we should go back to that kind of era, but I still quite like that little.
Was it good to watch?
Yeah, it's good to watch, wasn't
Top
it?
tie, yeah.
Forest and Liverpool were a bit
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
good.
I liked it.
I think you need that because I think
liked
that's the difference between our league and the Spanish league and the Bundesliga. There's a bit more in it, but I just quite like that kind of aggressiveness sometimes that sometimes you don't see in it.
Who's the
Yeah, it's interesting, particularly in England, how the role of, well, not just the role of the fullback has evolved, but the role of tactics in general. Because all roles in football have become more and more specialised, and depending on the style of football that you play, will depend on the specific role of each individual position. Like, I know that sounds, well, duh, but it's evolved a lot over the years because football used to be a very simple game. Back in the day, especially in England, it was 4-4-2. You know, you'd have 2 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, 2 wingers, 2 central midfielders and 2 attackers. That would be it. And the nuances with regards to that would be, you know, perhaps you'd have a big target man next to a quick poacher. So the target man would sort of bring the ball down, hold it up and play people in. For instance, the wingers would cross in for the target man to head it in the goal. The 2 centre-backs were very straightforward, no nonsense. Same with the full-backs too. And the box-to-box, well, the 2 central midfielders usually box-to-box. But now everything is so specialised. So, like, for instance, in central midfield, you've got a defensive midfielder and you've got an attacking midfielder. If we were playing 4-4-2, of course. On the wings, they're usually inside forwards now. So you'd have a left-footed winger on the right and a right-footed winger on the left. And they'd run down, cut inside and support the attackers. The attackers, I mean, you've got all kinds now. You've got complete forwards, you've got poachers, you've got target men, you've got second strikers, you've got advanced forwards, you've got deep-lying forwards. It's insane. The 2 centre-backs, I mean, you've got no-nonsense centre-backs, you've got ball-playing centre-backs, you've got wide centre-backs. I don't even know what a wide centre-back is, but you've got them. And now full-backs, so you've got wing-backs, complete wing-backs, inverted full-backs. It's mental. And, like, the role of a full-back, particularly in England, because it's very rare you see a team that plays 4-4-2 these days. I mean, the closest thing to a 4-4-2 that we've got now is 4-2-3-1, which is basically 4-4-2 with exceptionally attacking wingers and an exceptionally deep-lying forward as well, supporting a main goal scorer in attack. That's the closest thing that we've got. But usually, you know, you get 4-3-3. You know, that tends to have been the most popular formation over the past however many years, that and the 4-2-3-1. And it's interesting, particularly in Pep's. Well, actually, we're just going to put Pep over there for a second. But what tended to happen was, because you don't necessarily have conventional wingers anymore, because it's more like a 4-3-3, so you've got like 2 inverted forwards supporting the main striker up front. So they don't really run to the byline and cross it in anymore. They cut inside and try and score themselves. So they've required the fullbacks to be more comfortable on the ball, coming forward and crossing it in. And then that's why you've got sort of a Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's exactly what he does, and he does it very effectively, because Liverpool, under Klopp anyway, where he played his best football, he played a 4-3-3, usually. But now, with Pep, I mean, his fullbacks are almost inverted fullbacks, so they help support the midfield now. So it's insane, the role of the fullback and how it's evolved over the years. And I think, to be honest, I mean, Denis Irwin talks that he wouldn't be comfortable in midfield, but I think he would adapt. I think he could slot Denis Irwin into any of Pep's teams, no problem. He'd play, he'd do the Philipp Lahm role well, I think, because he's comfortable on the ball. He can dribble, and that's what Pep likes. He's got good distribution. He's got good vision. He's very creative as well for a fullback. So Denis Irwin was very much ahead of his time. I can't think of many fullbacks back then, especially in England, that were as technically gifted as Denis Irwin. But yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on sort of the modern day fullback and how that has sort of transpired over the years. But what do you guys think? Do you think Denis Irwin would fit in any team now, or any team ever, really? Would he suit Pep's system? Would he suit more of a Jurgen Klopp style, perhaps? But anyway, thoughts in the comments as always, and I'll see you in the next one.